Welcome to Follow the Figures. This is Dave. This segment will be a short one. Um, my main purpose of this segment is to really answer a question from one of my subscribers, Maurice, who asked the question, how do you avoid coming up with the favorite all the time when you evaluate your grid? And I don't know if that question was stemmed because he was playing around with these methods and he keeps coming up with the favorites, or if he's just assuming that the favorites come up. But there are a couple of my videos, especially even the first one, the very first video, where we have the 23-to-1 shot came in over at in the stakes race at Gulfstream, next shares. That was just an example right there. In fact, that horse was pretty much all blued out across the across the board, across the grid. But I'm going to try to find an example of that live right now. Okay, we have approximately 15 minutes to Louisianna Downs 4th. It's a 10-horse field, and I've finished the grid already. If you look at the grid here, I got to take a little bit of time here. I can go over what I have. First of all, in the left column over here, the color codes are just a few qualitative notes. One, the 3-horse, I'm expecting the 3 to get out in front, set the pace in this race. This is a 6-furlong race being run on dirt. The track is fast, and the 8-horse is my only class dropper in the race. Okay, the rest of them are pretty much, if I remember correctly, I mean, I have the past performances here, but there's no need to refer to them and make the video any longer than it needs to be. The 8-horse is my class dropper. Okay. Now, if you look at my grid, I've already done the, obviously I've entered the numbers in, the figures, and I've also evaluated the grid as far as each column. And again, each column, each bold column, are the columns I'm going to focus on when I evaluate the grid. These bold columns here, variable 1, variable 2, they already have formulas put in where they're the actual sum of these first two unbolded columns. Variable 2 is the sum of these two columns, and then I actually enter this manually, the last out figure, adjusted if needed to be adjusted. This one here is all set with a formula. All it's doing is it's averaging the last 3 speed ratings from the last 3 races, barring any races that I might have to toss, and I would reach back and grab another race if that would be the case. And these are our early speed ratings and the late speed ratings. The early speed ratings is based off the first quarter of the race. This particular horse's quarter, actually the raw quarter from the horse that was in the lead, and I get my numbers here based on what this horse did as far as from call number 1 to call number 2, whether it gained lengths or lost lengths. I will adjust his fraction off of the raw fraction. And the same thing with the late. The final quarter of the race, I will take the raw fraction and I will adjust that based on whether lengths were gained or lost. And then we have our total. Okay, our total over here is like a power rating, where a lot of systems have power ratings, but usually what they are, they're just accumulation of a lot of the other factors that go along with the particular method. If you look down here, my top point horse is the 8-horse, and that was our class dropper we talked about. And then we have our second place in points would be the 7, third would be the 10, and the fourth would be the 6. Okay? Now, I had said before, I had a subscriber ask a question about how do you avoid coming up with the favorite all the time. Well, the simple answer to that is you really don't come up with the favorite all the time. Okay? And if you do, you look for value somewhere else on your grid. And if there's no value anywhere else on your grid, you pass the race. Okay, but here, with a 10-horse field, with a lot of color on this grid, I'm going to be able to try to find some value. Okay? Whether I'm going to be able to avoid the chalk and the favorite winning, that I can't say. I have no, we have no, what's the word I'm looking for? We have no impact on the results of the race. But we certainly can try to beat the favorite. Right now, with 10 minutes left, the 7, which is a 5-2 morning line, is our heavy favorite at 3-2. And obviously our 7, as mentioned before, does show up on our grid. Okay, it shows up in an also eligible 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and it shows up on top on our variable 2 grid. The 8 horse, you define value as a bettor, as a handicapper. You know, you make your own value lines if you know how to do that. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Or you just say, I'm looking for a certain amount of odds or better. Okay, me for example, I look for 4-1 or better on odds. Okay, I don't look at a horse that's a 3-2 morning line and say, ooh, he's going off at 9-5. He's a play for me, because I don't bet enough on the single wagers, such as the win bet and the place bet and the show bet. I don't bet enough to really be excited about my return. So I'd rather take that horse and throw him in the exotics and try to make maybe at least a 4-1 or better profit through an exacta or a trifecta using him with the right horses. But if I look right here, I see the 6 horse. And I see the 6 horse showing up 4 times, twice on top. But the thing I'm going to really, really look at is the fact that he's got the best late speed here, the 94. Now, I know it's a sprint race, and a lot of people don't put so much validity in that late figure in a sprint race. They'll look at it more in a route race. But, hey, obviously, every horse has a final quarter. And if this horse is in the right spot, coming home, and he can match and put up the best final quarter, he's going to win the race. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm looking at the 6 here, and I'm going to go and say, wait a second, the 6 here is 14-1 right now. So the 6, and I'm going to do it right now, the 6 is going to be a $5 win wager. Because I'm going to get right now 12-1, I'm going to get a $60 return on that. The 8, 7-2, something tells me he's probably going to go down, maybe go off at around 5-2 or 2-1. But again, 7-2 is really not enticing enough for me at this point in time right now. As far as value in the exotics, now, if you take a look what I did on my ticket, I have a trifecta. I have a 6-8-10 over 6-7-8-10 over 4-6-7-8-10. Okay, they're the 5 horses that show up for me on the grid. We got the 6-8-10, 6, because of the late speed figure. The 8, the class drop, along with the top points, and not only the total category, but also 2 others. And then the 10. Okay, the 10 shows up 3 times, but why the 10 over the 7? Because it's looking for value. If you look at the 10's at 9-2, 7's at 6-5. I will also throw one more wager in there in case the 7 does win the race, and I'm going to make it a $1 try. I'm going to go 7 over top of my other 2 that I like, 6-8, over to 4, 6, 8, and 10. It's going to be a $6 play. And I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to put any more wagers in. I have my win bet on my 6. I have my try without the 7 on top. Then I have my backup try with the 7 on top as well. And hopefully I'm going to be able to, hopefully I already did answer the question, how do you avoid coming up with the favorite? Well, I just gave an example of how you look around the favorite and look for things that might stand out. Now we'll just have to wait and see when the video goes off, or when the race goes off, to see how well we did here. So I'm going to pause, and when the video goes off, I'm going to run it again. Okay, they're going into gate right now, and I apologize for the small screen up here, the small video screen. For some reason on my PA Bets site, if I were to go to and enlarge this, it'll freeze right in about 5 seconds within the race, and I got to keep minimizing it and turning it back on. It's a pain, so I'm just going to leave it small. You can follow it like this. And again, we're looking for the 3 to get out of the gate. I projected the 3 as our speed horse, but I don't see him having much impact in this race other than maybe setting the pace.
Looking for Roses and Philly are coming forward, as is Buds Mr. B. taking his spot in the starting gate. Jade Star, spin the cylinder to the outside. Our next long shot, Kale's Gold with Odilon Martinez, the last of the 10. Ready? First start. And they're off. Philly and Spin the Cylinder are charging out for the lead with Looking for Roses along the inside. On the far outside, that's Warren who's out running in fourth. Cool Yankee scooting through at the rail to join the leading group in fifth.
3 looks like he will get the lead, maybe. Right now we're looking at a 7-3-10.
Rivals in seventh. Salute the C to the outside eighth. Buds Mr. B is on the inside.
And I'm hoping our 6 is at least in that second pack.
Lucky is out in the center of the track and 4 lengths last. Opening quarter, 22.
Or else he's going to have trouble closing on the pace.
Onto the turn, 3/8 to travel. Philly spin the cylinder stride for stride. Warren is revving up on the outside from between runners. That is Cool Yankee. Extreme outside looking to come on. That is Salute the Sea.
Okay,
dropping back
6
towards
is
the
coming
inside.
on the far outside.
For Roses. They turn from off
See
the
what kind of
half
closing speed he has.
45-43. Philly leads the way. Here comes Looking for Roses, re-rallying down the center of the
3
track.
horses
Also
re-rallying.
looking to move up is Warren. Then it's Spin the Cylinder towards the inside. Salute the Sea. Philly has the lead. Looking for Roses trying to close in. It's Philly and Looking for Roses.
Looks like it's going to be a
Philly
7,
has won
3,
it. Looking for Roses
6.
second. Salute the Sea third.
So
Over
7,
long
3,
shot,
6
Kale's Gold,
finish.
Buds Mr. B, and Warren.
Doesn't do us any good. But hopefully it served the purpose of explaining how we look for value if your top horse is showing up. I mean, here's an example here where, you know, the favorite did not show up as the best. I mean, if you were going to go strictly by this grid and by the colors, the 8 horse would actually be the top play on the grid. And I think the 8 might have finished 4th or whatever, not that it matters. But 7-3-6 was the finish there. Seven, 3, 6, maybe 5. Okay. All right. Until next time. Thanks for following.